U.S. Customs and Border Protection has released the latest immigration numbers for this fiscal year. And this year, it has encountered more than 3 million migrants along our borders. But how many have come to Florida and from where? Florida 24 Network reporter Sophia Hernandez is breaking down the numbers and speaking with experts about new trends.
After a year classified as the migrant crisis, according to CBP, 2023 brought more than 236,000 migrants through Florida, the majority of them Cuban migrants. In the U.S. last year, more than 224,000 came to America. This year, another 200,000 Cubans.
If you put them all together, it's about 4% of the Cuban population.
Jorge Duani, the director of Florida International University's Cuban Research Institute, says that 4% is equivalent to all the residents of Cuba's central province of Cienfuegos packing up and leaving. These last few years makes it the largest migration of Cubans ever recorded. As to why we continue to see high numbers, Duani says it's social and political, but also has to do with economics.
In 2020, for example, the economy plunged by 11%, and it hasn't really recovered recently.
But it's not just Cuban migrants the U.S. is seeing. This year, more than 163,000 Haitians entered the U.S., almost triple the amount we saw in 2022. More than 138,000 came from Nicaragua, but the largest number of all nationalities is Venezuela, more than 334,000 finding refuge in the U.S.
And of course, that has to do with the collapse of the Maduro regime, the ongoing crisis, the inflation, as well as the political repression of people who don't agree with the Maduro government.
Duani says the Venezuelan migration is the largest diaspora in Latin American history to ever happen. The United Nations says over 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country. So what could this mean moving forward? Well, migrants, except those from Cuba, are in protective limbo.
Their status is much more precarious, and their future incorporation into U.S. society is still pending, as opposed to the Cubans. Similarly for the Haitians, who are coming in large numbers, or the Nicaraguans as well.
Duani says some have entered the country using avenues like President Joe Biden's parole program, which allows citizens from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Haiti to remain in this country for 2 years if they have a sponsor and meet other criteria. The federal government has also resumed deportation flights and hired more Border Patrol agents. But Duani believes comprehensive immigration reform, which has not been done in over 30 years, is the long-term solution. Sophia Hernandez, Florida 24 Network.
Late last year and earlier this year, we covered a record number of migrant landings on our shores. Our team looked into multiple angles of this human emergency, and we compiled our reporting into an hour-long special presentation, Landing in Florida, the State of Immigration. You can watch it on demand using our free app.